I spotted her first on the outskirts of a small Missouri town in 1882, hunched behind a wagon wheel. Her clothes were ragged, and her skin was caked with dust. She looked at me with wide, wary eyes. Hunger had sharpened her features, but it hadn't dulled her spirit. I brought her inside my cabin, set a bowl of stew before her. She hesitated, then devoured it like a bird starved for weeks. Her tiny hands trembled around the bowl, and I couldn't help but smile. I had no family left, but there was room for one more. She didn't speak much at first. Only her eyes told stories of cold nights spent in barns and fields. I learned her name was Lucy, and she was only 7. I asked no questions beyond what she wanted to share, letting her regain a sense of safety on her own terms. Days passed. Lucy grew stronger, and her laughter began to echo through the cabin. She helped me gather firewood, sweep the floor, and fetch water. The town noticed the change, a once starving child now bright-eyed and lively, running barefoot across my small plot of land. One afternoon, a woman approached the cabin. She looked as weary and worn as Lucy had when I first saw her. Tears brimmed in her eyes as Lucy ran into her arms. Her mother's name was Margaret, and she had been searching for her daughter for days, fearing the worst. Margaret explained they had fallen on hard times after losing their farm. Lucy had wandered while she tried to find work in town. They were grateful I had cared for her, but they didn't expect to see her thriving, laughing, and safe. I nodded, offering what I could without asking for thanks. The reunion stirred something in all of us. Margaret's gratitude was immense, but so was her pride in Lucy's newfound strength. I saw the same spark in Margaret that I had nurtured in Lucy, resilience that refused to be broken by poverty or hardship. Over time, Margaret asked if she and Lucy could stay with me. She wanted to rebuild, to find stability, and perhaps contribute to our small household. I agreed. The cabin, once a place of solitude, became a home full of warmth, work, and laughter. Life was hard, as it always was in the Missouri backcountry, but together we learned. We planted a small garden, tended chickens, and shared meals every evening by the fire. Lucy's laughter became the soundtrack of the cabin, while Margaret's steady hands ensured everything ran smoothly. Neighbors noticed the change. I wasn't just a solitary man anymore, we were a small family, bound not by blood but by choice and care. People admired the strength of Margaret and the vitality of Lucy, both thriving despite past hardship. Lucy began to help with chores more independently, teaching me lessons I hadn't realized I'd forgotten about patience and persistence. Margaret, meanwhile, offered wisdom and companionship, easing the isolation I had carried for years. As seasons passed, our lives intertwined. Winter brought snowstorms and cold nights, planting and laughter under the sun. Each day reaffirmed that the act of giving could ripple, changing all of us. One evening, as the sun dipped behind the hills, Lucy and Margaret stood side by side, smiling, hands intertwined. I realized that feeding one little girl had altered the course of 3 lives. What began as a small act of kindness became a foundation for family, hope, and the simple joy of being together. By summer, the cabin felt alive in a way it never had before. Lucy played in the yard, Margaret tended the garden, and I built new furniture with hands steadied by purpose. We were 3 individuals, yet our lives meshed seamlessly, each bringing strength, laughter, and care. I understood then that the Wild West didn't just test survival, it revealed character. Lucy and Margaret had survived hunger, fear, and uncertainty. Together, we built something stronger than a home, a life worth living, full of trust, warmth, and love. Even years later, neighbors would talk about the man who fed a starving girl in the family that blossomed from that simple act. But to me, the story wasn't about recognition. It was about seeing 2 souls rise, healed, and ready to thrive. In the quiet evenings, I'd watch Lucy and Margaret, grateful for the twist of fate that brought them to my doorstep. What started as a simple act of feeding one little girl became the story of all 3 of us. Survival, love, and the unshakable bond of family.